Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is March 24th, 2018, Year of Our Lord, and a special video presentation today of Chuck's Common Sense. Got a wild hair today and decided, why not? I haven't showered for anybody this morning, so again, you can't transmit smell over the internet, which is a good thing. Of course, today the highlight is the March for Our Lives, which is underway in Washington and, my gosh, I think 700 other locations. Of course, it directly stems from the last month's tragic shooting in Parkland-Florida, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where 17 school children were shot and killed by a former student, with an AR-15. Now, we're not, at least one reporter is telling us not to call it a gun control rally. It's a March for Our Lives. It's supposed to be a comprehensive march that is focusing on all aspects of school safety. Well, if you take a look at some of these signs today, goodness gracious, here we go. Sounds like this one and this one. There are more. Yeah, it's a gun control rally, and more specifically, it is an excuse to try to once again demonize the National Rifle Association and its 5.5 million members by groups that would love nothing better than to have draconian gun restrictions put into place. Now, caveat here. The children who were the largest part of this march and all across the country, they are 100% within their rights to march peacefully today. I applaud them for that. I think it is super. I would hate to live in a country where such a movement was not possible. So kudos to the students for being politically active. That having been said, I think you are going about it the wrong way, and I think some of you might be emotionally manipulated. Some of you are trying to emotionally manipulate others. The vanguard of thought is that there's an even money chance that you're going to get shot in school today, and that's simply not the case. There are any number of studies that will abundantly demonstrate that school shootings are not an epidemic by any stretch. Again, you can't say that without somebody calling you heartless. Oh, you don't care about those 17? Of course I do. But the reality is that you are no more or less likely to be shot in school today than you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The numbers bear that out. So while it is horrifying, of course, it is not an epidemic. Of course, it must be an epidemic in order for people to impose draconian controls, which is ultimately the goal here. Now, again, I've read the manifesto, they called it, on The Guardian, UK, from the students at MSD High School who insist that they want a fair look at school safety. Yeah, I don't think there's anything at all wrong with taking a look at how we have, say, strength and security at our airports as opposed to schools. I would point out to you that would be cost prohibitive because there are so many more high schools and elementary schools and middle schools than there are airports. But again, it is a fair question. It's a fair observation. What is not a fair observation is to insist that you have blood on your hands because you own an AR-15. It is not a fair assumption that you are a terrorist if you are an NRA member. When you bring forth stuff like that, I have to assume that your motives are not pure and you are not interested in having a so-called common sense discussion on guns. I think the more reasonable members of the progressive movement, and yes, such people do exist, realize right now that the political landscape is not going to allow them to make major changes in gun laws. There will be a few states that increase the age purchase to 21. That's already happened in Florida. There will be some others that put this restriction or that. But in the aggregate, they will not have a major impact on the fundamental right to purchase handguns or rifles or whatnot. I think we're in what's called the PSYOPs stage of all this. I think they are building momentum for future changes that may happen long after I'm pushing up daisies. Well, I won't care personally because I won't be here, but I do care. I do care that there is no other constitutional right that we have to demonstrate a worthiness for. You don't have to submit any form to the government that deems you are worthy of having free speech, freedom of assembly, the right against unreasonable search and seizure, the right against indefinite detainment. You do not have to stipulate those rights. You do not have to prove your worthiness. However, one of the vanguard thoughts from the gun control movement is that we would be safer if every Tom, Dick, and Harry had to first demonstrate that they were a good person, that they would not do anything bad with their gun in order to be able to purchase one. Well, we have background checks. Again, I don't think anyone claiming sanity is going to be opposed to a common sense measure like that prevents someone who's been twice convicted of mass murder from being able to purchase a gun. I don't think anyone claiming sanity is going to quibble about the fact that a person who's been adjudicated as mentally ill should not be able to purchase a handgun. That's common sense. What is not common sense is to target measures that would effectively ban 75% of the rifles that are currently in circulation in the U.S. That's not common sense. That is draconian. And again, because we're talking about a constitutional right, you have to tread very, very carefully. To those of you who are under the age of 30 who believe in individual liberty, this is on you. My generation of freedom lovers is probably not going to be around when this comes to a head. This PSYOPs campaign is trying its best to make ownership of a gun appear like some shadowy subculture. This week, YouTube announced they were not going to allow any videos that contained assembly operations that would somehow turn a semi-automatic handgun into a fully automatic gun. I'm going to guess that given the left's struggles with the most basic gun terminology issues, that YouTube is probably not going to limit just these videos. They're going to err on the side of caution and eliminate a lot more videos than they originally intended. Again, YouTube, private business. They can do what they want. I have no desire to see anything other than market forces influence their decisions. But I think it's just another step in trying to create a negative connotation, negative association with gun owners. So 20 to 30 years from now, a move to confiscate handguns would not be seen as terribly radical. Not going to let that happen. So enjoy the march today, and I'm going to keep my guns. That's just the way it is. This is Chuck's Common Sense.